Hey there, YouTube. It's me, Jeffrey, again. Today we're doing another Creepypasta reading. It's a gaming one, and it is a unofficial but semi-canon sequel to Sonic.exe, and it is known as Sally.exe. So I'm gonna read this word for word because this seems fitting. So why not? So, anyways, here we go. I'm a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. Like a lot of people, I narrowed down to the classic Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon shows, though, however, because I think the rest that Sega had spawned was rat crap, each to their own. I was browsing eBay the other day. I wondered if there would be any items about my favorite character from the series, Sally Acorn. Indeed, what I found was a plushie that was manufactured in Sega World of Sydney, Australia, which closed down due to the lack of visitors in 2006. Those Sally plushies were very rare, and I didn't have the money to buy her, and my parents would despise me for it. I examined the plushie for a while as the article came along with pictures. This Sally even had her jacket. On it was written with a permanent marker, God. I didn't know what that meant. Probably the initials of the child owning her before they sold her. I pressed the back button to return to the Sonic Sally search, knowing I wouldn't win the auction anyways, only to find another article had appeared. Sonic SatAM cartoon all episodes with the price of $1 on Instant Buy. SatAM DVDs were never released where I came from, so as happy as I was, I wanted to rewatch the show and checked out the article. It had no description and no address whatsoever where it came from, Germany, Canada, etc. It was missing, and the shipping price was stated to be free. I looked up the picture of the article. It was just a blank CD. I decided to buy it anyways, not just for the nostalgia, but the writing was great and I loved Robotnik in the series. Well, it all started when the mail arrived. It arrived the next morning. Oddly, it was Sunday. I was happy to receive the episodes and immediately put the blank CD into my laptop, starting the DVD. Sadly, the DVD did not start, but it did offer me to show the files. So, when I opened the folder and saw Sally.exe application, I was confused. I was really confused at it being a .exe file, but I started it anyways. And indeed, it was playing a episode of Sonic SatAM. The episode, Hooked on Sonics, began. The episode starts out all normal, along with the intro. No blood or anything, but the sad thing was that my computer blue screen when the kissing scene of Sonic and Sally started. The computer rebooted and I took out the CD and I thought it malfunctioned and threw it away. I could ask the person to give me my money back, but he could keep the $1 I gave him. I mean, it's just $1. I continued to normally browse the internet, speak to friends on Skype and all. Nothing was wrong until when I was watching a random YouTube video, my cursor, which is a white arrow in case you don't know, completely started to spaz out. I disconnected my mouse, but the cursor continued to thrash around the screen. I even deactivated my touchpad and it just continued. Suddenly it came to a stop and I carried on, ignoring what just happened. Soon, I found myself downloading a ROM for Sonic the Hedgehog. Fun game. As soon as it downloaded, I started up my emulator and began the game in window mode. But oddly, the complete screen went black. I shrugged it off and waited for the game to start. The familiar Sega jingle didn't sound. Well, it did, but it was slowed down so much it sounded demonic and it gave me a cringe. The background itself remained black, and Sonic did not run past the logo. It faded to black and some text appeared. I first thought it was a red font, but it looked like it was scratched into my computer screen. Up for round 2. I blinked and flinched as the main screen came on. The sky was a dark gray and the clouds looked dull and black, like right before a thunderstorm. The mountains were decayed, and so was the logo. It looked partially rusted. I was amazed at the pixely detail, but it scared me. Sega 1991 was now placed with Sega 666, and the water was a bloody red. The familiar music did not play either. It was just a 16-bit mess of sounds. The demonic Sega occasionally mixed in. Instead of Sonic showing up, 2 characters appeared right next to the logo, Tails and Knuckles. The sight of them terrified me even more. Tails' eyes were black and they were bleeding. His fur had become a dull gray-black as well, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Knuckles looked far worse. His red fur darkened to a reddish gray. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding like tails, and he had a look of sadness on his face. Just then, I noticed a new character pop out of the middle of the logo. A pink, bubbly little hedgehog poked her head out. At first, she was smiling, but then frowned what was all around her. She looked confused and nervous, like she didn't know what was going on. Amy Rose, I thought? What is this all about? Curiosity drove me to press enter. A short yet loud static sounded, and the screen just fades. I wish I didn't done so. Kyle didn't want to play with me. The writing appeared again. What a shame, but I can play with you, right? The demonic Sega jingle sounded again as for a split second, an image flashed. It disappeared too fast so I couldn't make it out, but what I could swear is I saw a red and black Sonic with black and red eyes. I almost felt them pierce me, and that moment made me jump. It didn't begin in Green Hill Zone Act 1, though. I wish it did. Instead, the title card read, Not Perfect Act 1. The game began, and the ground looked like the normal Green Hill Zone, but the background was pitch black. Amy stood normally where Sonic would be in the original game. Surprisingly, it was a really well-made sprite. It was not her classic self, but her current modern self. It looked official, even. On the opposing side of the screen, where she was at, there was a large silver ring, and in front of the ring stood the sprite Sonic, with a big smile on his face. The animation of Amy standing there with that she stared forward with a lovey-dovey expression as hearts came from her head here and there. I guess I should head to Sonic. I thought as I moved her towards Sonic, but Sonic ran away and jumped into the ring. I made her leap right after him. The level teleports to one of those stages where you could get a Chaos Emerald. The background was pink, it had love hearts all over it. It looked cute, but I was distracted by only having 4 red and white colored spheres to jump on. I tried to balance Amy on top of it as she desperately tried to keep onto the spheres, but my control slipped and she fell. I fell onto a wall of gold spheres. Just as I thought I'd teleport back, a loud shriek sounded and the image of this demonic Sonic continued to flash all over the screen. The screen completely spazzed out and I heard shrieks. Loud shrieks where I could swear it was Amy Rose herself. I kept hearing, no, no, and loud cries of agony and pain which abruptly ended with more stacks for the split moment before the screen cuts to black. Soon the title screen appeared again. Knuckles and Tails were missing, but instead Amy appeared. She was smiling her usual cute smile, but her body had holes in it. Not bleeding holes or bullet holes, just holes that pierced her body all over. Her colors also faded slightly darker. Even her eyes looked oddly disfigured. This scared me so much that my body just started to itch. I scratched myself over and over as I watched a new character appear. I frowned upon seeing Cream the Rabbit there, who had a sheer, terrified expression and huddled against the logo for comfort. Poor Cream. I wanted to quit the game, but as I forced, I hit start again, and the screen faded. Kind and Fair Act 1. The stage was blank now, and the background music was a drowned-sounding, slower version of the Green Hill Zone. It nearly made me gag, but something forced me to play. The stage began, and Cream's sprite, just like Amy's, was very well done. The environment was childish. It looked like a nice, cute cutout. In front of her was a TV box that gave you a higher speed. I made Cream crouch down and do a spin dash, and I dashed ahead, crashing the box. The level didn't change. The ground was a solid platform. It seemed like Cream was going faster, faster, and faster, and she crashed more boxes and more and more. I noticed the music got completely out of sync, which scared me. Suddenly, Cream crashed into a wall of spikes. A loud splash sounded, which didn't even sound like it would belong in a 16-bit game. Poor Cream was torn to shreds. Blood dripped from the spikes and the blood rabbit as the background slowly began to melt in front of my eyes. The image flashed again and soon the title screen appeared. As I expected, I was back on the title screen and both Cream appeared with Amy. She looked scared, but her other eye was, how I put, droopy and dead and bled a black goo. Her ears were over her face now, instead of the back of her head. Her color scheme changed from brown and orange to a very, very dark purple and red, and her dress was a dull gray. time for the third character, and dear God, did I want to cry and weep when I saw Sally Acorn pop out of that goddamn logo. Putting on her innocent smile as she waved towards me, like she didn't know what torment would happen to her. The game was so terrifying and yet so fascinating, but I wanted to stop real bad, but my hand wouldn't budge. I even started shaking. I wanted to reach the power button, turn the darn thing off, but my hand just wouldn't move, and before I knew it, I already hit start and the screen faded. Blank Act 9. It said. A sad, dull melody played in the background as the silhouette of the ground and the sprite silhouette that resembled Sally appeared in front of a background that consisted of the whole group. Amy, Cream, Knuckles, Tails, and Robotnik all appeared, all in the torture forms with a sad expression. It also had Sonic, but in a nearly unrecognizable way. He had a wide grin on his face with razor-sharp teeth. He had black eyes with red dots for pupils, which were bleeding. It looked like he wanted to reach out the silhouette in front of him. I tried to move Sally to get her out of there, but each wall wouldn't budge and Sally would do a pushing animation. I stopped in the middle as to my heart the stage began to shrink and the black started to close in on her. I tried moving her again, but the walls wouldn't budge or move. I walked Sally back to the middle as the walls closed in on her. She crouched down before she completely disappeared in the black. Splat. The red writing was on the screen again, only it was dripping like blood and it was crooked. Sonic, my love. Suddenly, a familiar scene faded in. I recognized it immediately. Sonic.exe was playing from where the CD cut off. It had a blood red shade to it, and Sonic had these black, bleeding, demonic eyes. Sally looked even worse. Well, at least to me. Her eyes were missing. It looked like they were taken out. Sally's skull was sewn closed again. Blood was rushing from the wound. It did not look Photoshop. It was actually animated. I could see the corrupted Tails and Knuckles in the background, too. Sonic pulled away. So, not bad, Sally simply replied. I gagged and looked away from the screen, and out the corner, I noticed something on my bed. On my bed was the Sally plushie I saw on eBay, with its eyes missing. Holy crap, what an ending. Now, granted aside, there were the cliches like the blood and the gore. Well, technically there wasn't that much gore, as there was more blood in effect. Now, I saw that someone who made a actual playable version of Sonic.exe made the Sally.exe as well. So, meaning you can watch and play it as yourself and there's another person that made a slightly better version of the cutscene where Sonic and Sally kiss, but as .exes. But the thing is, like, is the ending. It's just like Sonic.exe with the plushie. Like, I get it. Like, the story would have been better without the plushie, but I guess it's just for the cliffhanger. And the final cliche is, how you find a DVD of all the Sonic Saturday episodes in one DVD only for $1? That's not how eBay works. Like, get this. Like, if you go to eBay, like, you'll see DVDs, but they're more than $1. So, I guess it's just part of the story. Which means this is technically fake. So, tell me what your comments are and what would you change to make this better. This is Jeffrey Simberski signing out, and enjoy the Super Bowl, guys.